An artist's studio is always a place of fascination, and Francis Bacon's studio is no exception. It's a real pleasure and honour for us to be able to celebrate Francis Bacon's centenary. That's the reasoning behind this exhibition, Francis Bacon, A Terrible Beauty.
This is taking things in a very new and in a very important way that has really not been looked at before.
He worked in such unusual ways in the formation of those images, and this really uncovers that in an unprecedented way.
Francis Bacon was born in Dublin in 63 Lower Baggot Street, and we're opening the exhibition on the date of his birthday, 28th of October 2009. He left when he was 16 and went off to Berlin with a friend of the family's, and then was in Paris, but London then became home. He had several different studios over the period of his life, but he moved into 7 Rhys Mews in 1961, and he stayed there till he died in 1992. It was here where he realised some of the greatest paintings of the 20th century. When he died, his heir, John Edwards, along with the executor of the estate, Brian Clark, offered Rhys Mews' studio to Dublin City Gallery, the Hugh Lane, and to Dublin, considering this was where the artist was born.
I saw it in Rhys Mews before it was dismantled, and literally you came up this incredibly steep staircase, and then into the right was this absolute mess of a studio.
It was like walking into the artist's head. Books and papers and photographs strewn about the floor.
Paint all over the walls, these incredible paint marks, really vivid, where he'd basically repeatedly cleaned his brush.
Slash canvases on the shelves, all these paint brushes. It was like a latter-day Egyptian tomb in a way.
It was his image machine, and it's where the paintings emerged from, and all the steps leading up to that. And it was a very productive mess for him. I mean, he liked it like that.
He draws out of this chaos a very, very ordered artwork. The rest of his muse, which was very modest for a man of his means at the end, it's also very tidy and ordered. So the studio was a place apart.
We catalogued, packed it up and shipped it out, I think in about no more than about 14 days, and that included cutting sections of the walls out, preserving the paint marks, and also taking the floor and the ceiling.
Then we had construction people in to put the walls together, and then the doors. The material then was put back in the studio, including the paint brushes and the tins. Most of the interesting material that was underneath the skin of the studio was all archived. As a museum project, it is unique in the world.
We were very concerned when we planned the recreation of the studio that it would be extremely faithful to the original. We didn't want to cut it in half and allow people to walk through or keep one side glass. So we actually decided to preserve the original opening, so we used the original windows and the doorway. And by doing that, you get this almost slightly voyeuristic view into this incredibly intense area of creativity.
This exhibition is singular in the canon of Francis Bacon exhibitions.
There's never ever been a show that has looked at how he worked.
The guiding principle for this was that what Dublin has here is a unique archive of more than 7,000 items, the contents of Bacon's studio. The reason we have great paintings in the exhibition is because what he made, what we're most concerned with, was paintings. However, he worked in such unusual ways in the formation of those images, and this really uncovers that in an unprecedented way.
What we aim to do with this show is actually just show how the source material, the evidence of the slash canvases, and the materials and the ideas came together to form his paintings.
300 photographs, fragments and negatives by John Deacon were found among the items in Bacon's studio. John Deacon was really one of the finest photographers of his generation, and the robustness and directness of Deacon's photographic vision really resonated with Bacon. Bacon had turned to photographs rather than drawing from life when he was painting the figure, and John Deacon's photographs became crucial working documents for Bacon when painting. They have been torn, manipulated, folded. In a way, they've been transformed into preparatory sketches by Bacon when working, because he used all these folds and manipulations and tears as sources of inspiration for his work, because they suggested new pictorial ideas.
What's been amazing about looking through the studio contents is that we have found very clear evidence of exactly where his ideas came from. Often the person is manipulated in quite a radical way, but sometimes you can see a clear parallel because he'll have taken that photo and used it in its crumpled state, the fact that it fell on the floor and he walked on it for years, or he actually deliberately folded it. He will take that and reproduce it in a painting.
One of the main things in choosing the paintings was to select things which weren't too familiar. There's an extent to which in some of the recent Bacon retrospectives that there are very great paintings, but for people interested in Bacon, we've seen them quite often recently. So we tried to choose things which were slightly unusual, and in fact several absolutely stunning things which have seldom been seen ever before in public.
The first time you can actually see what actually inspired him, but of course it doesn't lessen the mystery, it only deepens the mystery.